Hi, everybody. Oh my God, I'm so happy you stayed. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I promise I'll be as energetic as possible and short and sweet. But honestly, before I even say anything, I just want to say you are the frontline people that I, as an executive coach, work with every day, and I get to really experience the level of effort, of passion, of purpose that you show up with, and also I watch you kind of navigate everything that you've been talking about in these 2 days. I watch you navigate the change of industry, how you deal with people, the leadership, the culture, and then the outsiders. So I just want to say, honestly, from the bottom of my heart, with all sincerity, I value you, I salute you. I know that you're here for the goodness of the mission, and it really means a lot to people like me who are here to also be in service to. So I really just want to acknowledge you and thank you, and I give you a round of applause for what you do. So to that point, I want to make this all about you, because it's also been about like how you can continue to be in service. But you not also being in service to you is a disservice to the rest of us, right? It's the old, you got to put the mask on yourself before you put it on the next person, which sounds so cliche, but how many people are really putting the mask on themselves? Show of hands. Right? That's not a good show of hands. So you get to refuel. This is time, the permission thing is real, and it really comes down to choice. And so my intention for this closing session is to really support you to give yourself that permission to choose. And I could stop there, but I'm going to say to live your vision. But even if you don't exactly know what that is, I really, at the end of this, just want you to have some tools and permission to be in choice. Because I think so often we are operating from a place of reaction versus response. Anyone feel that way? Right? So and reaction is to be acting again. And especially at the level at which all of this change is happening. It's insane. It's really crazy. If we stop and think about how quickly things are moving, that jobs that exist, that don't exist today will exist in 4 months, and we don't even know what those are yet, that is freaking crazy, right? So how are we really, as just humans who are not also robots at this point yet, able to really stay ahead of it? And the only thing I would say is to you've got to come back to that center. So the breathing thing, which gave me a headache because I realized I don't get enough oxygen to my brain, that is great, right? And that is something that we get to actually just begin with, because if you don't know, you get to stop and take a breath and ask for some support from that inner guidance and outer guidance. But it does come also from within. There's the clicker. Okay. All right. So the other quick thing about reaction is to act again, is to potentially act in ways that haven't really served you, right? It's like repeating that pattern. It's the old story about you walk down the street, you fall in the manhole, you get up, you keep walking down the street. Anyone know this? It's called something, and I always forget what it's called. Next day, you walk down the same street, you see the manhole, you still fall in, and you get up and walk down, and continue to walk. Next day, walk down the same street, see the manhole, walk around the manhole, keep walking. Next day, you take a different street, right? So the first 3 things are reaction. The final thing is a healthy response, right? And to be responsible, to take responsibility, is to really have the ability to respond, which is where I want you to get to today in terms of being conscious also about that choice and those choices that you're making. Good? Okay, cool. So vision, let's talk quickly about vision. Do you know what your vision is? Do you really have a vision for yourself? Show of hands. Simon has a vision, everybody. That is awesome. Okay, so not a lot. I'm gonna tell you right now, it doesn't totally matter at this moment, because again, the thing that you got, the paper that you have, that will be a step in helping you to just give yourself permission to create one for yourself. Okay, I didn't get a tutorial on this thing. So vision, wrong way. Okay, there we go. Nope. I did something wrong. All right, I did, but how do I turn it back on? Oh my goodness. See, I'm not a millennial. Which one? Oh, that big green, that button. Oh yeah, the big green button, okay. Yes, all right. Okay, so Napoleon Hill, old school motivational speaker, author, said, cherish your visions and your dreams as they are the children of your soul, the blueprint of your ultimate achievements. And you can think about this like, a vision is something that you can have for yourself in many different parts of your life. You can have a vision for your health. You can have a vision for your relationships. You can have a vision for yourself at work, even inside the context of a bigger corporation's vision, right? Because who you are bringing to the table is a unique expression which is wanted and needed. So I had, there we go. So something to think about in terms of vision is, what is it that honestly inspires you? It might, a vision, you might have a vision also that's like, I want to live in a world where peace runs everything, where peace leads. But it's the vision that ultimately drives you. So what inspires you drives you. So just be thinking about that as this conversation goes on. So for myself, my vision when I was 15 years old is I wanted to be Phil Donahue, which I'm really now dating myself. So can I get any love for Phil? Yes, thank you, people. Thank you. Yeah, the pioneer. So I loved Phil Donahue. I wanted to run up and down aisles. I wanted to talk to people. I wanted to have that microphone in my hand. I wanted to be in that level of expression. And then he married my other childhood favorite, Marlo, from Free to Be You and Me. So yes, dating myself again, but that's okay. So anyway, so obviously I wanted to be Phil Donahue, so I went into entertainment, but I kind of hung out in the behind the scenes part of that. So for many, many years, I was a development executive. So I was creating, and when I worked at Oxygen, I was the vice president of development. And I got to a point where I hated my boss and I hated my boyfriend, and something had to give. So I dropped the boyfriend, which was very easy. Dropping the boss was not as easy. I didn't have the choice. He was above me. But it came to pass that there was actually a big job available that was at it was at a broadcast network, and I decided to kind of put my hat in the ring for that. And as I did, I went to see a career counselor. And the career counselor, and whatever, we were getting my resume together and positioning and all the stuff that one does with the career counselor. So I end up 3 weeks into my work with her, the job goes away. It doesn't exist anymore. I am suddenly like, okay, that's fascinating. So I said to her at one point, I said, well, if I could do anything, you know what I would do? I said, I would facilitate personal and professional development workshops. And she said, why don't you be a life coach? And I was like, I have no idea what that is. So within 6 months, though, I was in a course. I was getting certified as a life coach, and I got certified on November 12th of 2007, and on November 28th of 2007, I was let go with a severance from Oxygen. And I didn't really consciously make that choice. That was something that was a little bit of a reaction. The truth is, I went in to speak to my COO about two things. One, about my terrible boss that I really hated and just loved to talk about how much I hated him, which is a note to self: what you focus on expands. So I look back at that and I go, if I had shifted my mindset and focus, I probably would have enjoyed everything a little bit more. But I did not. Big learning lesson. The side note is, years later, I did actually see him, and I said to him, I'll tell you what I said. On the last day that when I found out that I was leaving, I said, aren't you so excited? I'm leaving. And he said, what do you mean? I like working with you. And I was like, okay, right. So it's all me having the experience. He was having the best time ever. I thought I was beating him up every day, but maybe he liked it. So I go to my COO, I say, I was telling her also that I wasn't going to be there on D-Day because I actually had to have surgery. And then she said, listen, we're going to do everything in our power. The CEO and I are going to do everything in our power to have you stay, and everything's going to be okay. And I said, and then I found myself going, Lisa, no. And I was like, did that just come out of my mouth? Because I just said no to a very comfortable gig with a lot of benefits and, an expense account. And so then, anyway, but I ended up finding this moment where I really did somehow, I felt like there was something else pushing me forward to make that decision. Cut to, I start my business in a really powerful time called 2008. Not great. However, I don't even give 2008 a lot of slack for that, because I, myself, was inside of a mindset that was keeping me very small and safe, and I was not putting myself out there. So I call what was going on with me permission resistance, okay? So what was going on is I was very busy getting my systems in place. I was very busy making my website look beautiful. I was getting my brand going, but I was not putting myself out there at all. So while I had this awesome severance, and I had some clients who were supplementing that, I was hiding. I was really keeping myself small and separate. I was not filling my own tank. I was withholding my talent, and it was in service to no one. So I wasn't making a choice, right? I was reacting to something that was not really a healthy response at all. So I look at these as permission resistance, right? These are the things that get in the way. One is this is my queendom, where it's pressure plus perfection equals procrastination. Can I get an amen on that? Anybody? Thank you. So pressure, we put all this ridiculous pressure on ourselves to be perfect, and especially in the world of innovation, as things are supposed to, are happening so quickly, and we don't always know everything. How are we going to ever be perfect? It doesn't exist, right? But that keeps us from making a choice to maybe just be imperfect. What would that be like? Another thing that I will own it first. Overwhelm. Anyone? Overwhelm? Anyone get some emails today while you were sitting here? Having to listen? Yeah, a few, right? So overwhelm is also future negative fantasizing. It's actually not being present. If we are overwhelmed, then we're only thinking about the future and how much it already sucks, which, if you're going to have a fantasy, is not really the best one to have, right? Not enough. Who am I to? Anybody ever feel this way? Brene Brown calls this the core shame. We all feel it. I don't care if you admitted it or not. We all go through it. So I was absolutely having that experience that was keeping me small, keeping me separate. I was watching people who were like, as I was paralyzed in my perfection and sitting at home with my friends Ben and Jerry and watching, reruns of Sex and the City and feeling very much like, this has to be perfect, and I'm going to gain a few pounds in order to, make sure it's all good. I was definitely watching people around me who I describe as fearless in their mediocrity, just soaring, just going way beyond anywhere where I was, right? So I was not fearless in my mediocrity. I was paralyzed in my perfection, and that sucked. So the other thing is I was a lone wolf. Anybody thinks like I have to do it by myself, right? Because who could possibly do this as well as I? Or I'm the only one that can get it done. It's a strategy of the ego to also keep you separate, to also keep you, it's just like we don't always ask for help when we really need it. And especially, again, in this day and age when everything is moving so quickly, why would we want to do it alone? It doesn't make sense. But that's another thing that keeps us in that resistance. It keeps us from making choice. It keeps us from asking for help. So how do we clear the fear? What did I do? So let me tell you so the other part of my story, though, is that as I was sitting with Ben and Jerry and the girls from the Sex and the City and my systems and beautiful website, I was losing money, and I was not expanding this business. And 3 years into it, I would have a little bit of an intervention from my family, who basically would say, Stefanie, it's time to move home. Now, I was 40 years old. And I just turned 49, so this was a while ago, so I'm legit again. But I was 40, and a few weeks later, I turned 41 on my father's sofa. And that was terrible, because I had to move home with my tail between my legs, because I had failed, because I let all of that resistance and reaction and not being in my choice and not giving myself permission to really live my vision, I really let that lead. And that didn't work. So I will tell you that moving home at 40, turning 41, is a great motivator to get out. So I motivated, and again, with my tail between my legs, I went back into the entertainment industry because I thought that's my only choice, right? I thought that's a reaction. I know I will get a paycheck. I know I can do that job. I know I have all my contacts. I was still letting the fear lead a little bit, right? and also it was urgent and it was necessary, but it was still a choice. And it was a choice, though, from a place of lack and fear and scarcity. So I did go back into the entertainment industry, and I worked for horrible people, and I bless them because they were my teachers about what I didn't want to ever do again, right? And 18 months in, I got fired, and then I really woke up, and I was like, okay. I still don't have everything I need. I got myself back on my feet enough, but not really enough to also have some excess. But I still decided that, and so I went through the motions of even looking for another job, but now I realized I was just a millennial then, but I thought it was so innovative. But then I went into my next gig, and with my person, with the CEO, I said, has anyone ever had to say to you, if you continue to talk to me this way, I'm going to leave the room or hang up? How would you describe the way in which your direct reports describe you? What's your greatest weakness, and how are you dealing with that? Where's your growth opportunity? Like, I was a crazy person because I was really quite abused at my last job, and that was another thing I was never going to let happen. But the other point there was I was in choice. And so when they offered me the job, I chose to say no. And I will say that a few months later, I was on the Today Show as a coach with my own segment called Coach Me If You Can. So though I wasn't Phil Donahue exactly, I got a little taste, right? So that worked out. Thank you. So part of the way in which I cleared that fear is I shifted a paradigm. So the paradigm that we are often working in, and this is where, again, there's been so much, and I'm sure I wasn't here yesterday, but I was here for the bulk of today, and there's so much amazing things. There's so many amazing things that are said, and it's often externally focused, which is the way in which we think, typically. That's our default. So we typically think, first, that if we have the thing, if we have the answer, if we have the relationship, if we have the talent, if we have anyone want to fill in the blank? Money, if you have anything else that I'm missing? The connections, then you can take action in a way that's going to feel like you're really taking some substantial action. Then you can do, right? If I have the thing, then I can do the thing, and then I will be happy, fulfilled, joyful, abundant, generous, right? Successful. I'm going to suggest that we flip it. We flip it to a be, do, have mentality. So now, if you're going to have the thing, so look, I did this, right? I wanted to have the job after I left my father's house. I wanted to have the job so that I could do the work and get the money, and then I would be happy, or at least I would be peaceful, right? At least I would feel like I had some abundance going on. But what did I do? I infused my have energy was I didn't want to go back. I was angry, I was upset, I was sad, I was uninspired. And all of that energy was infused into everything that I did at that job. And then what is the result I got? I was still sad and uninspired and abused, and it was terrible. So the opportunity now was to say, okay, who do I want to be? If I want to be peaceful, or I want to be inspired, and I want to be happy, and I want to be abundant, I got to start there, right? That's the thing. If I'm already being that, regardless of the outcome, regardless of the external, then I get to build to that, right? So it's like I think about my friend Tracy tells this awesome story where she used to live in Atlanta years and years and years ago, and she was working in the entertainment industry, and she was raising funds for different events, for different movies and things, and she was working with her friend Michelle. Michelle had somehow befriended this homeless guy who was prolific in writing terrible plays. But for some reason, Michelle saw value in the plays and thought that she could help him raise money. So Tracy doesn't understand this, but goes along with it. And one day, Michelle says to Tracy, can you take our friend to go get some lunch, and Tracy's like, you're getting a Happy Meal. So they go through the drive-in at McDonald's, and the whole time this guy is like, you're gonna see, I'm gonna get all these awards, I'm gonna be friends with Oprah, I'm gonna work with Oprah, I'm gonna work with Spike Lee, I'm gonna have a big billboard on Sunset, my plays are gonna turn into TV shows and movies and on and on. This guy was in his conviction. Tracy would say, you know your plays suck, right? He's like, you're gonna see, you're gonna see. You're going to see. The conviction was clear. And this person is Tyler Perry. So you talk about vision, right? He was not having or hearing anyone else. He was operating from a be-do-have at its peak. It was brilliant, right? So, and often if we operate sometimes as an already having, if we operate from an already having received attitude, which is what that guy was doing, then magic can happen. It's not so different than an athlete visioning the end result of the race, right? It's not so different also than just tweaking, I'm a Rafa Nadal crazy person, so for tennis, it's like he at one point just flipped his grip a little bit on a serve, and it changed his game for a season, and I don't know where it went, but it's okay. No, I did not throw shade at my boy. I did not do that. So anyway, so this is really the game changer. So the truth is the world is changed by your example and not by your opinion, per Tim Ferriss. And I like that because he's talking about modeling. So you guys get to model. So the fact that right now we also started by saying you're not necessarily filling your own tank, you're not necessarily taking care of you first. What is that saying? How are you modeling that? What is it saying to your direct reports? What's it saying to your team? What's it saying to your family, to your kids, to your spouse? And ultimately to you. So it must start with you. You get to choose, right? So what I have provided for you today is a permission slip, essentially, to live your vision. And you'll see that it starts with, I just want to call out a few quick ones. It starts with lead with be, which is what I was just talking about with the be, do, have. It's shifting that paradigm from thinking that you have to have everything, have the answer, have the relationship, have the thing in order to do what you need to do to be all those core values. So it's up to you to think about, what are your core values? What is it that you really want to feel? What do you want to be experiencing? And how can you embody that right this second? Because how many of you unconsciously or consciously go to work stressed? Are you already, right, or worried? Or already, are you a worst case scenario person? And you have to think about how that's impacting the results that you're getting. How is that impacting the people around you? It's really powerful. So one of the things I do with my executive coaching clients and teams and corporations is I have everybody create a choice, a statement of choice or a purpose statement. And so, and it's usually something very simple, like, I'll just give you quick examples. 2, awaken curiosity. 2, cultivate calm. 2, create connection. And so when they go into board meetings now or any meeting, I have them start with that statement. So that normally around the table, unconsciously, it would be worry, stress, fear, anxiety, overwhelm, perfection sitting at that table, and then that energy is creating results. You don't want that, right? That is actually counter to all of this innovation that you're doing. I don't know that we're also looking inside to see what is the inner thing that is creating the outer thing. So I think it's important to be really intentional about this. So I am hoping that this permission slip helps you to kind of shift some of that stuff. Another thing is, another one that I want to call out on there is I choose to turn my chores into choices and my shoulds into wants. Now this might just seem like semantics, but think about how many times a day do we say, I should do this, or I need to do this, or I have to do this. And what if we just shifted it to, I get to send this email. I choose to have this difficult conversation that can actually be filled with ease, right? I think that there's something fun about practicing with the intention of creating something else, something new. What is possible inside the choice? It just changes the game. You'll see, I know, I also kept a blank slate for you. I'd love you to fill in whatever that is for you. And again, a lot of this document is designed to also just, you don't have to know everything yet, right? But it's just about giving yourself permission to even, I give myself permission to let my vision be revealed to me. You know, that could be something that you're giving yourself permission for. And when you think about vision, the other thing I want you to think about is something I just said about the athletes. It's really about visioning how you want to feel when. So for instance, if there is something, you know, and again, it can be personal, it can be professional. In the professional realm, it can be, if you know you're going to have a conversation that is, you know, potentially challenging, you can sit and visualize what that may be or look like or feel like, and then let that lead the meeting, right? You might set a quick intention. I'm going to choose to be compassionate. I'm going to choose to be open. I'm going to choose to bring my joy to this conversation, right? How often are you thinking about that? The day after never, right? Until now. Now it's leading with joy. Okay. So I would love for you to look through this. I could go through every single one. I have something to say about all of it. But again, if it is not your language, please change it. I want you to make this yours. This was my language. This was kind of the permission I gave myself to finally step in and live my vision. And it's something I put in my house. I read it every day. I look at it. I signed it. I actually signed it. I kind of renew it. I sign it again. And, but I want you to really make this your own thing. So really, the end of this is I really just want you to be somebody who thinks about how you're relating. How you relate to the issue is the issue. So if you're relating to something from a place of anger or worry or stress, you're going to create more of that. And then you get to respond differently, right? So instead of reacting to something, be aware of. It's like when in the meditation, when they're talking about being really that witness to, I say that too. It's like be the witness to, be the neutral observer of, observe without judgment. What part of you is leading the way? What part of you is showing up at that meeting? What part of you is writing that email? And choose what part you would like to have to write that email or do that meeting or have that conversation. And then what I would encourage you to do today is take action. You get to take action on your vision. You get to put this into motion, whatever it is. There's something on there that says, however small, big, you know, whatever shape or size it comes, it doesn't matter. Whatever you have to bring to the table is a unique expression of you. It's for you, but it's also for the rest of us. It is a ripple that we are looking forward to receiving. So I invite you to continue to choose you, keep choosing you, keep choosing, stay open to that. And I thank you for your time and energy and for staying. Bless you.